You know what I would do if I had a DeLorean?
I don't know what.
I would use it from time to time.
Just roll the intro. I don't even care if we have one. Just roll the intro.
Dad jokes aside, that is right. Today we are talking about Back to the Future, specifically Back to the Future 3, and we will be diving into the story of it. So, David, do you remember end of Back to the Future 2?
Yes. I remember the DeLorean got struck by lightning, and Marty got a letter from Doc.
Yes, and also goes to find Doc Brown, 1955 version of Doc Brown, so that he can help him, Marty, get to the 1885 version of Doc Brown. Now, as we've stated in many times with this franchise, the time travel does not make a lot of sense, but we are going to throw that out the window and hope that we can
Well,
wrap our heads around this story.
I thought the 1955 Doc Brown just sent Marty back to the future.
Yes, that was what 1955 Doc Brown thought too, which is why he faints.
Oh.
And when he wakes up, see, Marty takes him to his house after he faints, and when he wakes up, he doesn't see Marty laying there on the couch, so he just goes about his business, and he's like, last night's experiment was a success. Can't remember what happened afterwards. I seem to remember having some vision of Marty coming back and saying he was back from the future. And then he turns around, and he has another heart attack because Marty's standing right there.
You know, Marty ought to learn by now not to startle an old man like that.
Yeah, it probably is not the greatest of ideas, but he does it anyways. And Doc Brown, in disbelief, runs into his room and closes the door. Eventually, he does come around to listening to Marty, and Marty explains what's happened. And he shows Doc the letters. With that all in mind, they go and find where 1985 Doc has put the DeLorean. It's in a cave in an old mine. So they go to the mine and they find the DeLorean. Now, the DeLorean needs to be repaired. So that's what 1955 Doc is supposed to be doing. Now, they have the parts at this point in time, but the parts that Doc from 1985 would need wouldn't be invented until the 1940s. So, Doc Brown from 1955 goes and rebuilds the DeLorean to make it work, and now they're ready to test and see if they can get the DeLorean to go back in time to save Doc Brown. Now, specifically, in his letter, Doc Brown said he didn't want Marty to come back. So Marty, obviously, goes into the future, back to 1985, and lives out the rest of his life and lets Doc his thing in 1885, and that's the end of the movie. So what actually happened is, while at the coal mine, or whatever mine it was, while at the mine, they see a tombstone. So happens this tombstone is Doc Brown's. Now, you would think maybe Doc Brown lived a long and luxurious life in the Old West and died at a ripe old age. I mean, he was already old to begin with, but you'd think he lived a good long while, right?
Yeah, sure.
No, he was shot in the back about a week after he sent that letter.
Dang.
Yeah. He was shot in the back by a character that we might remember from the last movie, Buford Mad Dog Tannen, an ancestor of Biff's.
Why is it always that family?
I'm not entirely sure why, but the stakes are so much higher in this movie than they have been in the past. In the past, we might have gotten beaten up, but death is on the line in this movie.
So what do 1955 Doc and Marty do?
Going against 1885 Doc's best wishes, they decide to go back to 1885 to save Doc. It's a little bit weird here because 1885 Doc tells Marty to go to the future and live the rest of his life, but 1955 Doc is like, I don't want to get shot in the back in my future, so let's go and do this. So, kind of conflicting on who's really in the right here. Nonetheless, Marty goes back into the past to 1885, week before Doc gets shot in the back, so that he can save Doc.
Okay. Now, hold up. What are the people of the Wild West gonna think when they see a DeLorean driving down the road?
Well, see, Hill Valley was smaller at this time, so they go to the outskirts of Hill Valley, where there wouldn't have been anything at the time of 1885. However, when Marty gets to 1885, he's met by some Indians.
That can't be good.
No, it's not. After escaping the Indians and finding a cave to hide the DeLorean in, he sees that an arrow has punctured the fuel line for the DeLorean. Now, you'd think that wouldn't be a problem, but later on, Doc tells him that, well, fuel's not so common in 1885, and that's all that runs the DeLorean's engine. So they can't get it up to 88 miles an hour if there's no fuel.
Well, at least Marty is safe in the cave now. So
He would be, but I don't think he really likes cuddling black bears.
what?
There's a black bear in the cave, yeah. So it chases him out. He throws his boots at it, or kind of just throws them, and it thinks that that's kind of nice. But on his way to running into town, since he's running away from this bear, he's not really paying attention too much. He falls down a little hill and hits his head. You want to know who finds him? Never guess it.
Let me guess. It's Oh, does he find Doc?
No, he is found by none other than his relative, Seamus McFly.
Okay, well, so you're saying that the McFlys and the Tannins have both been in Hill Valley for 100 years.
Yes. These McFlys, though, have a bit of an accent because they're not from around here. They're just kind of moving on in. Actually, their son, William McFly, is the first McFly to have been born in America.
Oh.
And the first McFly to pee on Marty.
Uh-huh. So I'm assuming that Seamus and Maggie know where Doc Brown is, and they tell Marty.
Oh, they have no idea. But they do point him in the direction of Hill Valley.
Oh, well, that's nice of them.
And they give him a hat. Seamus, Marty look very similar. It doesn't go well when Marty goes into the saloon to find Doc. When he gets in there, none other than Buford Mad Dog Tannen, and you better watch out, don't call him Mad Dog, he don't like that, walks in and is like, Seamus, didn't I tell you to never come in here again? He turns around and he's like, you're not Seamus. He's like, who are you? And you know how Marty is. He just gets into trouble. And so Buford starts shooting him. Not too much, though. It's kind of in the feet. Kind of makes him dance. And then he actually starts dancing. He does some little moonwalking moves. And everyone in the bar is like, what's he doing? And then Marty really gets himself in trouble because he takes the little spittoon bucket and he hits a board and it shoots it up in the air. And you'll guess where it lands. Right on Buford. He is covered in spit. So he's been shooting Marty's feet, or at his feet to make him dance. Now he wants to shoot Marty a more lethal place. Marty runs out because Biff has been using up all his ammunition. So Marty runs out into the road and starts running down the street, but Buford and his guys catch up with him on horseback and they tie a rope around his neck. Now, the courthouse that we've seen in all these other movies being built. So Buford's like, hey, we got a new courthouse. Not time for us to have a hanging. So they throw Marty up and pull the road up and they start to hang Marty. So he dies and that's the end of the movie. Actually, what happens is Doc Brown comes over with this tricked out sniper rifle and he shoots the rope that's holding Marty up. So now Marty's on the ground able to catch his breath, and then he has it aimed right at Buford. He says he needs to leave his friend alone because his gun that can shoot fleas off of a dog or something at like 500 yards is aimed right at Buford's head. So he's more or less kind of willing to lean off a little bit and not do anything. But Buford's mad at Doc Brown because, see, Doc in the Old West is a blacksmith, so he does horseshoes for the horses and other stuff like that. So Buford's horse picked off one of its shoes, and he blames Doc for that. Now Doc says that he could, redo the job, but Buford doesn't want that done, and he already shot the horse. So he tells Doc that Doc owes him $80, $5 for the whiskey he spilt on the horse, $75 the horse.
Well, I mean, it's not really Doc Brown's fault. I mean, Buford's the one who shot the horse.
Shut up. So, anyways, he's mad at Doc. Now Doc and Marty are reunited. Now, Doc's like, hey, I told you not to come back here, but I'm glad to see you anyways. So Marty tells Doc that he's going to get shot. Shows him the picture of the tombstone that he took, and Doc is obviously hysterical.
Rightfully so.
So now they have to figure out a way to get back to future to their own timeline. Now, you'd think that would be easy, but like I said before, Marty came to 1885, he got hit with an arrow, causing all the fuel in the DeLorean to run dry. So not only is the fuel line busted, there's no fuel either. And like I said, in 1885, fuel was not a common thing. So they go to the bar and they see if they can find the strongest thing the bar offers. That blows out everything. So now Doc has to mess with more things. But all hope seems lost. After liquor in the bar doesn't work, and after horses aren't able to get up to 88 miles per hour, hear a train. They have the idea. What if we had a train push it? Might be able to get up to 88 miles per hour.
That is a crazy and stupid idea.
So they go ask the conductor, and he says that theoretically, yes, you could get the train up to about 90 miles per hour if you had no cars and you had a long track. So now their plan is to hijack the train, take all the cars off, take the engine, and push the DeLorean. There's this little stretch. See, the train tracks go this way, but there's a little stretch that branches off. They're thinking about using that, but it ends.
Well, I mean, it's not a problem. They just have to, get it up to 88 miles an hour before it ends.
Yes, because if they don't, this movie's going to really end on a cliffhanger.
Why do you say that?
Because it's at a cliff.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so the there's supposed to be a bridge that they're building, and the bridge isn't completely built, so it goes over this...
Okay, whoa. So what's going to happen when they do get to the end of it? There's no bridge there.
No. You're not thinking four-dimensionally. Anyways, so they go and check out the end of this track, and Marty is out. He's like, nope, we're not doing it. I'm not plummeting to my death. Not doing it. Well, while they're there, they see a carriage, and there's this lady driving it, but she has no control over the horse. She has no control over the horses, so they go over and they save her from death. A little bit later, they find out that this woman on the carriage is Clara Clayton. Now, the ravine that they were just looking at is called Clayton Ravine in the future, because a school teacher died falling into it. Clara is the school teacher. Now Doc is in love with a undead school teacher.
Whoa, wait a minute. He's in love?
Did I mention he was in love?
What?
He doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe in love at first sight, but he's in love at first sight.
Uh-huh. So how is this going to affect them going back to the future?
Very little.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, go on then.
Mm-hmm. So 2 days before Marty and Doc are supposed to leave, just in time for the Doc not to get shot, there's this town festival going on. And since Doc has this little thing going on with the school teacher, he asks her to this dance. And so we go, and we start dancing, having a good old time. And then Buford shows up. Now, at the front gate, coming into this party, is the marshal or sheriff, and he's checking guns. So no one can bring guns into this. No one can bring weapons into this. Least of all, Buford. So they take his guns and his knife, but he has a tiny little pistol in his hat that they missed. So with that one little pea shooter, he plans to go to Doc Brown and basically shoot him in the back because, well, he's upset with Doc. Wants his $80, but he also wants Doc dead. So I think he doesn't care so much about the $80 anymore. So he goes to confront Doc Brown. Before that, he wants to have a little dance. So they restrain Doc, and he goes and grabs Claire and starts dancing, and she's not enjoying it too much. And so she kicks him, and now they're about, say, 4 feet apart, Doc and Buford. And so he's like, all right, whatever. Fun time's over. I'm going to finish you. So then Marty sees this, and he takes a Frisbee and throws it right at Buford. Knocking the gun out of his hand.
Wait a minute. This is 1885. Were Frisbees even a thing back then?
Oh, but it was a pie pan. It said Frisbee on it. Far out. So he takes his Frisbee and he throws it at Buford. And with his dead-eye accuracy, he hits the gun out of his hand and hits Buford's hand, causes him to hit Doc's hat off with his gun. Oh, the shot.
That's a little bit close for comfort, but I guess it's better than, somewhere lethal.
Barely missed Doc's head.
But I can't imagine that Buford's going to be too happy about this.
No, he's not. And he challenges Marty to a duel.
Right then and there?
No, they can't do it right then and there. They don't have their guns.
Oh, well, what about tomorrow?
No, they're robbing the coach tomorrow.
Oh.
Can't do it then.
Oh, okay, well, if not then I guess Monday's gonna have to work.
Alright, well, we gotta do it Monday morning.
Monday morning, okay. Well, I like to shoot people before breakfast, so let's just say 7 o'clock.
No, we're doing it at 8 because I like to shoot people after breakfast.
Okay, fine, 8.
Mm-hmm. So, it all happens, and now Marty has to confront Biff Monday at 8. But his plan is he won't be there.
Okay, but what if the train is late?
Worry about that. Marty is going to run away from a duel that he wasn't willing to run away from because someone was calling him his chicken.
Okay, sounds fair enough. Okay, wait a minute. We still got one problem here. Doc is in love apparently. So what's gonna happen with all that?
Gonna stay.
But he can't stay. I mean, he just gave Marty a whole lecture over the past 2 movies about not changing the past, so he can't stay.
But they already saved a teacher from her death, so
Okay, well, then why doesn't he just take her with him?
Nope, can't do that. After Doc decides that he's not going to stay, he goes to tell Claire that they're breaking up.
Okay, but how is he going to explain that to her when he can't tell them that he's a time traveler?
He does tell her that he's a time traveler. She doesn't take too kindly to that. Claire thinks that he's taking advantage of her because he's using their shared love of Jules Verne and his fiction. So she's all distraught, slams the door in his face, and now Doc is heartbroken. Where does he go but none other than the saloon to get drunk, soak in his sorrows?
Wait a minute. Doc is going to drink? Don't you remember what happened on the 4th of July?
What about that? Give him the strongest thing you have.
Okay.
So morning comes around, and he's telling everyone in the saloon about his time travel adventures and all the things that's going to happen in the future.
You know, I can't imagine that that's gonna have a positive impact on the timeline.
Doesn't even matter. Won't matter at all.
Huh. So, how many drinks did it take Doc Brown to start spilling the beans about the whole time travel thing?
Oh, not one. He's been standing there all night long holding a single shot of whiskey and didn't even take a sip.
What?
So then Marty comes in and he tells Doc, it's time for them to go. They got to get out of here. They gotta go. And so he snaps Doc out of it real quick. But as a good luck, Doc turns around, takes that shot, turns back around, and face plants into the wood.
That was one shot.
He's a lightweight.
Okay, whatever. So what does Marty do to get? I mean, they've got to have like black coffee or something to wake Doc up.
They have wake-up juice.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Well, it doesn't look good either. So they pour it into Doc's mouth, and as a reflux, he jumps up, runs out of the saloon, and drowns himself in a trough.
Oh, so Doc's dead?
Not quite. They pull him out, and he's still knocked out. After all that running around, he's still knocked out. Just a reflux.
Okay. But wait, isn't it almost 8 o'clock?
It is 8 o'clock. And that's exactly Buford Mad Dog Tanny. He shows up and he calls Marty out. He says, hey, it's 8 o'clock. I'm ready to do some killing. So after a long and excruciating countdown, Buford reaches 10. Miracle of God. And
Wait,
he calls Marty out. A little help. So Marty, once Doc finally wakes up just in time, they ask the bartender, say, hey, is there a back door to this place? And he's like, yeah, there's a back door. Go out the back. And so they go out the back, but one of Buford's goons is back there, and they see him, and they start shooting at him and Doc. Marty's able to escape into the second building, while Doc gets caught by his goons. So now Marty is stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he doesn't go out and face Buford, Doc's gonna get shot. But if he goes out and faces Buford, he's gonna get shot.
So I guess one of them's gonna die.
You know the old saying, better you than me.
Wait, what?
There's this old Clint Eastwood Western where he wears this shield underneath his poncho, and when he gets shot, it stops the bullet, like a bulletproof vest. So Marty finds this little wood-burning stove, and he takes the door off of it, and he ties the rope around it and has it in his chest area. So hopefully Buford doesn't shoot him in the head. And he goes out into the street and he challenges Buford. Now, Buford tells him to draw. Buford is a quick draw. The minute he touches that gun, Marty's going to be dead. So instead, Marty does a smart thing. He unbuckles his gun belt and he throws it off to the side.
Wait, how is that the smart thing?
And Buford promptly shoots him.
Yeah, I was about to say, how is that the smart thing?
So as Buford is reveling in his win of many, he does this little strut across the way and makes his way over to where Marty lies, presumably dead. I mean, he's just laying there. Not much is happening. As soon as he gets there, though, Marty's eyes open and he kicks the gun out of Buford's hand, and he proceeds to show him why he didn't die. He takes off the little metal door, and then he starts hitting Buford with it.
So he hits Buford to death with the door and probably gets arrested, right?
Yeah, he beats the crap out of him. Or he beats him into crap. Where another manure is involved.
Again, what is it with that family and manure?
I don't know, but they hate manure. So Buford gets arrested, and now Doc and Marty are ready to get back to the future. But they still have to hijack the train.
Train. Wait, isn't Clara on that train?
Yeah, after her heartbreak with Doc, she plans on leaving town. So that morning when the 8 o'clock train comes in, she decides to go on the train and leave town. However, on the train, she hears two men behind her talking, and they're talking about Doc and about how heartbroken he is. So with that, she stops the train and she runs to Doc's blacksmith shop, where he is not there. So somehow or another, she figures out that if she goes back to the train, she can find Doc. By the time that she gets back to the train, Doc and Marty have already hijacked it and have already taken it down the alternate path to the DeLorean.
Huh. So she gets there before that they start pushing the DeLorean and decides to go with them, right?
No, she's too slow. Despite all odds, he happened to be riding the fastest horse in the universe at this point in time because it caught up with this train that just so happened to probably go in about 30 or 40 miles an hour, if not faster. Anyway, she catches up to it just as Doc was pushing the train from inside the engine, is ready to climb around the engine into the DeLorean so that he and Marty can both go back to the future. Now, Clara is on the back of the train. She is making her way to the front of the train. Doc doesn't hear her. This is an extremely loud train. Finally, she gets to the engine room and she pulls on the train horn and they're like, what's going on? And Doc turns around and he sees Clara there. And she's like, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. And so she goes to make her way. Shut up. So she makes her way to the middle where she can meet Doc. And Doc made these special logs to help the train go faster. They burn hotter, which causes the train to go faster. So each time a new log starts burning, it goes faster, but it does a little jump. So on the way, you don't realize it, but it's about to hit a new jump. And so when it does that, Claire basically gets thrown off the train. Her head gets ground into the ground, and she has she's about an inch or two shorter.
So she's dead?
You would think so, but despite all odds, apparently she's not. See, they made clothes a lot tougher back then, and her end of her skirt is able to hold on to the train. Hold her onto the train.
Wow.
It rips just in time as Doc is able to get to her. See, in DeLorean, already had the hoverboard. Mm-hmm. So he sends the hoverboard to Doc, and Doc catches it somehow and uses it to scoop up Clara and save her from her imminent death.
So they're able to get back to the DeLorean and all travel back to the future.
No. Marty closes the door, Doc serves off to the side, past the train going 88 miles an hour, and Marty jumps into the future.
Okay, so I guess Doc and Clara are going to live their life out in the past. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Marty gets back to the future, and he is coming down on the now completed trainway, because now the railroads have been completed. And so the car comes to a stop and is sitting there, and he had just gone through an intersection. And now he hears the train bells ringing, like the caution, so you need to get off the tracks. He's like, what's that? And then he looks over and he sees a train coming right at him. So with the nick of time, he jumps out of the DeLorean, and it just gets smashed to pieces.
Well, Doc wanted to destroy the time machine, so...
Mm-hmm, and now it's destroyed. With that, Doc heads back home, and he goes to his truck, make sure everything's back to normal, which everything is back to normal. Well, Back to the Future normal. And then he goes to see Jennifer.
Is Jennifer still on the swing?
David, it's time travel. Of course she's on the swing.
But that was a different timeline.
Shut up. So, he goes and he wakes her up, and basically is like, hey, yeah, we'll just pretend like that's all a dream. But she's like, I had this weird dream, and then all of a sudden, she's like, Marty, that was a dream, right? And, obviously it wasn't, so she figures that out. Then this guy comes up in another truck and challenges Marty to a race.
Okay.
Marty looks like he's going to accept it, but he actually puts his car in reverse. So when the green light hits, goes in reverse while the other guy goes barreling down the road. Now, at the next intersection, a car comes out, and this other truck has a swerve. Now, if Marty was there, he would have gotten hit.
It's a good thing there was no one behind him, because he would have hit him.
Think about that. So, this point in time was why Marty's life was derailed in the future in the last movie. So Jennifer pulls out this piece of paper that she got from the last movie that said, you're fired on it when Marty got fired. And she's like, it doesn't say anything anymore.
So she had the piece of paper in her pocket, but she still thought it was a dream?
Anyways, they go back to the DeLorean where all the pieces are, and she they're looking at it and like it's all destroyed and everything. And then the rail car crossing signal comes, and they're standing about 2 feet away from the tracks. And they look down the tracks both ways, and they're like, well, I don't see anything, so, you know, it's okay if I stand here, right? They do. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this big train appears, and it's Doc Brown built a time machine out of a train.
Wait a minute. I thought Doc wanted to destroy the time machine because he said it caused too much trouble. And he built another one?
Well, it might be a lot of trouble, but it also is a lot of fun.
Okay, whatever. So is Claire still with him?
Yes, Claire is still with him. And he has 2 sons. One Jules and one's Vern.
Fair enough.
And with that, Jennifer obviously being a little confused about time travel, like every single other person who watches these movies, looks at the paper and says, Doc, this paper no longer reads what it used to. He bends down and he says, that's because your futures are no longer written. You have your own future. So make the most of it.
Cool.
Despite the fact that Doc's been to the future many times.
So is Doc going back to the future?
No. He's been there. He's gonna go some other place. And with that, the train levitates and shoots off into the sky. Into the future.
The end. That is the end. Well, thank you everyone who stuck to the end of this video, and be sure to come back Monday for our Back to the Future 3 podcast.
If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe to our channel for more content just like this.
And as for that, we will see you again in the future.